I am JD Wolf, and this is going to be a bit of a different video, guys. In this video, I'm going to discuss how to hook up a real MIDI drum kit to the PlayStation. When I upgraded my Rock Band drum set, I couldn't find a good video on what to look for as far as drums, equipment, whatever, and how to set it up. So I had a lot of worries with regard to that, to know, am I getting the right thing? Am I getting all the things that I need? And how is this going to actually hook up when I actually get it? So now that I've been through the process, here's my video to help potential upgraders. So you may drum a lot, play a lot of drums on Rock Band, and or whatever other program accepts drums. PlayStation 4 has just come out with Rock Band 4, and that was my impetus to upgrade my drums. But so besides, so first let's ask, why are we gonna want to upgrade? And your answer may be different than mine. It's obvious that it's cool to have a real drum set that's independent of the PlayStation, and so this would get us that. But here are some reasons why you might want to consider upgrading your drum set beyond the basic set, or even the Ion drum set. So here we have my drum set. As you can see, it's gotten a little wear and tear over the years. One thing I have right here is that I'm hitting it on the edge and it's starting to separate here. That's not that big a deal. A bigger deal is my red drum pad. You can't see it, but it's starting to bubble up. I've had it bubble up before, and what I've done with this one is that you can unscrew it from the bottom, take it apart, and separate the drum pad from the mesh underneath, or I think it's the drum pad, and then there's plastic underneath, and then you epoxy the pad to the plastic. Well, I did that several years ago, and now that I've started drumming on it again, it started bubbling up, and basically this area right here is the only thing that registers. So if I hit it up here, it doesn't register. If I hit it down here, it doesn't register. So that's the problem with that. The other problem I'm having, of course, is that these are being held on, this cymbal is being held on with this clamp down here, and this tends to slide down the pole, and I have to pull it up. And as tight as I can possibly get it, it still slides down about, well, at the rate it was going, is about once a song. Every song I had to push it up, and some songs, if you have a lot of cymbal, it's going down. This one, I've attached a clamp to it to try to hold it in place, to hold these two in place, but they still go down, depending on how much cymbal crashes you got to do. And it's a real pain in the butt. You never know when your cymbals are just going to drop out from under you, and you got to pause the game. The final thing, I did upgrade because my the kick pedal broke. It was plastic. I upgraded to this guy, which was really cool. But you know what this does? If you put your foot down on it, it registers a thump. Well, it's hard to rest your foot or suspend your foot when you're doing that. It just makes it a little difficult. So this, while it was nice for the time, it's Rock Band 4, it's PlayStation 4, it's time to upgrade. Okay, the next reason you might want to upgrade is sound levels. That's the sound here. On real drum kit, and it's I don't know if you can tell, but it's quite a bit muffled. I mean, it still makes noise. This is the drum kit that I got, but the sound levels are much better. So now that we've decided to upgrade, what drum set do we choose? What other hardware is required? Well, the most important thing is to get a MIDI drum set. If you don't get a MIDI drum set, it has to go through your computer to output MIDI. You don't want to have to deal with that if you don't have to. If you can get one that has MIDI out, that is number one, the most important thing. So the first drum set you want to consider is the Ion Drum Rocker. Now the Ion is a real drum set. If you get the additional module, you can make it into a real drum set. But it is designed by people who design real drums for the PlayStation. So in that, it's good. But what I wanted was something a step above that, something that was, that you would actually play, that somebody who was not looking for a PlayStation game, that just wanted a drum set, would get, but something that wasn't that much pricier than the Ion Drum Rocker. Okay, so I wanted to get a thump. Basically, I call it a thump kick. Basically, you have your kick pedal, and it is, get over here, it is hitting that. So what I can do is put my foot down and rest on it and hit it, which you can do with the other one. But if during the song you want to rest your foot, I can do one of those numbers and not actually activate a thump and mess up my score. So what I did, now let's get to the drums. I chose D drum. This is the DD1 drum kit. It has the snare, the three toms, two cymbals, and the hi-hat. It's a pretty standard drum kit, and nice and inexpensive, and something that hopefully will last. So my concern was, what do I need to get with it? So in order to hook it up to the PlayStation and to have it as an independent drum kit at the same time. Well, the first thing is I had an extra pair of speakers. There's the subwoofer and the speakers. An extra pair of speakers, computer speakers. What I had to do is I had to purchase a plug. Get that. I had to get a little adapter plug to get it to regular stereo equipment plug, so I could plug the little. Let me get it back in. Get the little plug in, so that all I have to do is plug that in. And now, well, if I could do it and turn the volume up, is so we have an actual drum kit. So you want to be able to do that. You also want to get the thing to hook up to the PlayStation, which is this guy right here. And yes, it is a PS4, but you want to get the Rock Band 3 MIDI Pro adapter. And it works fine. The only thing that it does not do is if you press the start button, press the PlayStation button, sorry, it will not, start up the PlayStation. It's only for, in the game, which is perfectly fine. I needed the MIDI cable. So that's what comes in this box, is a MIDI cable. And so the adapter, the MIDI cable, and of course the PlayStation and Rock Band 4, or your game of choice. Now, the other thing I picked up was a new set of drumsticks. This is, as you can see, it has like a rubber core to it. And what will happen is when you are doing a lot of, I have it left on, when you're doing a lot of hi-hat, you can get, the vibration will travel up to your hands, and you'll get, it'll, your hands will start vibrating. It can be, painful. So I got these guys, Zildjian drumsticks. I don't know how you pronounce it, but those drumsticks, and the size is, let's see, what do we have? Zildjian drumsticks 5A nylon. So I'm trying to get it reduced. So the size is 5A. And it's nylon, Zildjian drumsticks. I can find all this on Amazon, so I got everything off of Amazon. So just an addition. The other thing you're going to want to do is have a throne, a drummer throne to sit on, because regular chairs are not going to work for you, really. This makes a lot of difference, and the kick makes a huge difference in being comfortable. one more thing, circling back to the speakers, is that, you know, if you have an amp, like I have an amp under there, you could go ahead and get just get a cable to run to your amp. I don't even know if that amp works anymore, and I'd have to get a, you know, an audio to audio, you know, one of the big connector plugs, and I just figured this was ample and sufficient to get a to just use these speakers. It had enough bass to replicate the drum sounds and whatever with the subwoofer. Okay, now let's talk about setting it up. When you have when you get it, the thing you'll notice here is that you have crash over here and ride over here. Now in the in Rock Band, it's reversed. Ride is over here and crash is over here, and I like it that way. So this is your blue on the left, and your green on the right. But when you hook it up, okay, so when you get it in, you have to hook up all these cables, and as you'll see, this cable, if I can get it, if you could read it, it's green, and on it it says ride. And because it's designed for the ride to come over here and then the crash to be right here, so the crash cable is too short to reach over here. So I actually have ride hooked up here and crash hooked up over here. But when I go to hook it up to the unit, back over here, ride and crash, even though it's upside down, are actually reversed. So I have, so for example, in the crash, I have ride plugged in, but it runs all the way to this one for crash. So that's how I had to reverse it. You know, so that is the only thing that I changed. Now, if you go in and you look at, let's see if you can get it without glare. If you go into the notes, you can look and see what are the MIDI notes that are being transmitted for each of the sorry, for each of the items coming out of the factory. All right. Then on the Rock Band 3, when you get that, you'll see in here in the manual. Sorry about that. Let me see where it's at. Here you go. You have right here, I don't know if you guys can see that, probably not, your list of MIDI notes and where they are tracked in the in-game action, trigger type, and the MIDI notes. The MIDI notes, the trigger type, and the in-game actions. So I looked at that, I looked at the notes over here, and discovered it's one-to-one. It is mapping perfectly out of the box, and all I had to do was switch the cables, ride, and crash. As far as hooking up the cables and everything, it's all pretty self-explanatory. The only thing they didn't explain is where on the cymbal exactly to plug in the cable to get it. Now, the other thing I like about this is that if one of the pads bubbles up or whatever the hell the pad might end up doing, which I don't foresee that happening, but if it were, I could swap them out. I could buy a new one and replace it. I can do whatever I want to a lot easier than I can with that guy over there. Okay, so let's talk about hooking it up. Basically what you have here, you have the MIDI cable plugged into this guy. So the MIDI cable comes out of here, plugs right in here on the back in the MIDI connection. All these are already included. This is all the speaker, the pads and pads and cymbal hookups. Okay. Out of this side, I have headphone hookup going to my speakers. You could hook that up to your amp. There's other connectors to go out to, and I know that's upside down, but other connectors to go out. You can read about that on the website, but this is just for hooking it up to the PlayStation and the considerations we have for that. So right now I have it turned on as I got the volumes all the way up, so you know, if you want it even louder, you can hook it up to a receiver and what have you. Just know that all the connections, none of the connections are mini. They're all full-size connections. So the MIDI connector there, it comes out with the cord, which goes over there to the PlayStation. So it's plugged into the PlayStation directly. So it's not wireless, but it also doesn't require batteries. So that is how you connect. Now, to go between, basically what you want to have, when you pull up the game, you're going to want to have this turned on, this little power switch back here, turn that off, turn it back on. I was unplugging this. All you have to do is the volume, just turn it all the way down. And now, all of a sudden, it's not registering. But if the PlayStation were turned on, I'd be getting a little signal here, and it's going to work in the game. The only other thing you need to do is switch this to D, all the way to the left, all the way to the left is required. And also, one thing I found was that it was not registering in the game until I turned this up. This little wheel is the velocity sensor. It starts off way down, which means you got to really whack the crap out of the drum in order to get it to register in the game. And I was like, oh no, what's going on? You turn this all the way up and you can register double hits accidentally. So I'm just, like that much, half a rotation down off of full sensitivity, so I can lightly tap on the drums to get it to register in the game. Okay, my first tip would be that the kick, let me tip it over a bit here. I put these little feet on the bottom of it, which worked okay, but not great. I'm going to take those feet off because, as you probably can't see, there's Velcro on the bottom of it, and it is designed to stick to carpet. If you have carpet, you're good to go. I had to get this runner. What'll happen is, and this is going to be true of any pedal that you get, is that it's going to move on you, just like it did, on the old kit. It will move on you, but if you have it on carpet, it's not going to move as much. And if I take those feet off with the Velcro, it may not move at all. It also comes with these screws. You're going to want to be careful. These are already down. I had them on the floor. Thankfully, this floor is pretty much unscratchable. But those were down a little bit when I got them out of the box and I put it on the ground, and I was moving around quite a bit, back and forth. And if I had a hardwood floor, it would have scratched the crap out of it. So you got to be careful with those screws. I mean, if you have a wooden stage and you want to screw it in, you can screw it in or whatever, because those are real screws, real pointy screws. They will get into it. Now the other difference is that I consider this to be the optimal setup for drums. I can see the TV. I have ride there, crash there. So this is going to be my green. Over here is going to be the blue, and down there is going to be the yellow, right? Well, they don't line up with the drums beneath, and they're certainly not the same as they were over here. As you can see, you have so your hi-hats over here, but on the real drum kit, like a real drum kit, hi-hats over there actually. Your blue is over here, and your green is, well, right there. So that is a different setup, but I like that. I like that setup because it's a lot more natural for actual drumming. Now, everybody could, if you want to move it, you can move it. It comes set up like this, but this thing that is holding your cymbal bar can be slid off of the bar and slid onto another bar. So I could put it over here if I wanted, have it coming up, and have the blue right here. Of course, then I need to turn it for watching TV so that I could, see through it. So you could, if you wanted to, get it to actually mimic, and then I would move this one down and have it where the yellow is on the old one. It took quite a bit. It took for me to unlearn the muscle memory, even though the muscle memory was really old and not that good because I hadn't played in a long time. It took quite a bit for me to figure out what was where and to naturally start going to the new locations of the cymbals and the drums. So there's a learning curve. So I would suggest, you know, bumping down the difficulty until you get a handle on where you're at. And finally, these things are really adjustable. I could move this left and right if I wanted to. I got it really screwed down really good right now. But you can move them in and out, round and up and down to get the right height and the right distance away from you, as well as the right angle towards you. As you can see, I have these cymbals set up. Let me show you. I'm going to keep running into things here. Let me show you. I got this set up where, you know, over here, I'd have to get down to hit the plastic. I got to go way down here, and that's not, you know, this is really the minimum that I would be at to hit it. So I don't want to ever, you know, end up down here and hitting the plastic. So you want to tip this down enough. These, I'm never going to be down hitting the plastic. If I go too high, yeah, but I'm never going to be hitting the plastic. Now the cymbals, of course, you have the standard issue of, let's switch hands here. You get a different sound level if you hit it like this versus hit it like that. You don't want to do that because that's loud versus that. So I want to hit it on the edge, so I want to have it tipped up enough that I'm hitting it on the edge, but not so much that I'm just, you know, whacking the crap out of it sideways. So you want to have, so it took a lot of the angles. I also don't want to be lifting the stick up and hitting the underside of the cymbals. With the sensitivity I have it set to, it will register just any hit anywhere around it if you accidentally crash into it. So you just want to give yourself good clearance on all the cymbals and whatever, and that just takes practice. So those are my tips and tricks and how to hook up a MIDI drum kit. Like I said, it has to have the MIDI out to go directly, that way it can go directly in, directly to the gain, and at the same time I have it plugged into speakers so that, turn it up, that's all I have to do to have the regular drum kit. I don't have to unplug anything or replug anything to go from drums to PlayStation and back again. All I do is turn the volume down so that I'm not getting, you know, so that I'm not getting these sounds in addition to the sound coming out of the TV. You know, you may want to try it either way. But the gist is that they're both connected at the same time. It makes it a great setup. I don't have to worry about these guys. As long as I tighten this up enough, this is not going to fall down. As far as the separation I was seeing on the cymbals, on the other, this whole thing seems to be one solid piece of rubber with the electronics underneath detecting the vibration. I mean, and it's just it's a better quality build. Yeah, I paid more for it, but I spend enough time drumming on Rock Band to make it worth the investment. And I feel it really has made it worth the investment because I'm really enjoying it. So if you have any questions or comments, leave it in the comment section below. And until next time, stay safe.